Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Dorkside Gaming. Today we're going to be opening an expansion for Eldritch Horror, Cities in Ruin. Yes, I had to look down to remember. Alright, so for my birthday, I love Eldritch Horror #1. For my birthday, I hope to get the Eldritch Horror expansions every birthday, every Christmas. I want to have reasonably priced things for people to give me because, you know, I like the sentiment of someone wanting to give me something, but I don't want to necessarily have them spend a lot of money. So I put these on my list, and these have been on my list for years. And finally, I was like, you know what? I cleaned out a whole bunch of other stuff. I pushed this to the very top. I was like, please. And people asked me, and I was like, it is sorted. Whatever's at the top, that is what I really want. They don't have to feel bad. You know, sometimes people feel bad and they see, I don't know what this costs, 18 bucks or 20 bucks, whatever. They feel bad and they're like, well, Richard got me something nice, so I'll get him something that's more expensive. No, this is what I wanted. So I'm super excited. Let's do this. All right, so this is a small box expansion. We can see, what does it say here? The human age is ending. Violent quakes split the world asunder, and nature itself is seemingly intent on destroying the civilizations of humanity. Deep in the heart of Africa, something is stirring. This expansion introduces Shed Miel, a destructive new ancient one. Heralding this new threat is the advent of disasters and devastation encounters, as well as destructive new mythos cards. 4 wary investigators join the fight, bringing with them new artifacts, assets, spells, and talents to stave off the twilight of humankind. Cool. Let's see what's inside. All right, small little supplemental rulebook. So the nice thing about Fantasy Flight games is they always have lots of good narrative, and you can see that everything's marked with this particular icon. Some descriptions of the new types of cards. So prelude cards. I'm assuming that the other expansions might have more prelude cards. This must be a thing. I don't know what it is, but what it says is that you draw 1 random prelude card before setting up the game. This card alters game setup and makes each game feel unique. So, okay, cool. I'm excited. New type of card, the Devastation Counters. And there's a new mechanic, Advance the Mystery. Let's see what we have in here. Shed Miel, the Cataclysm from Below. Looks like a giant octopus, I would say. And when Doom advances to a space containing an Eldritch token, draw and resolve a disaster. So if you play with Shed Miel, you are going to ensure that the new disaster of things take place. That seems cool. We've got Ashcan Pete. That's awesome. Love Ashcan Pete. He has a dog. And his dog is usually super pretty cool. We've got Bob Jenkins. I'm not too familiar with Bob Jenkins. Like Ashcan Pete was in Arcane Horror. Rita Young is a classic as well. Roland Banks, another classic. And so that's exciting. I mean, if you like playing the horror games like Arcane Horror the card game, There's a couple different, like the dice game. They all have the same characters. Mansions of Madness. They all have like these same characters. And if you really fall in love with these characters, being able to play them, like Ashcan Pete, because he has his dog, he really, like, we kind of fall in love with the character, so that's cool. All right, and just a few different tokens to get out here. And again, Fantasy Flight Games, their tokens are beyond crazy high quality. I mean, these, I like a lot of game publishers, but I love theirs the most. What's cool is they can actually print a lot of the stuff here in the United States. They actually became big enough that they got their own equipment. Most of the rest of the games are all printed out of other countries, so that's cool. All right, so we got a Formless Spawn, a Leopard Man, Ancient Chthonians. So Leopard Man, whenever you see things like that, normally it's, you know, implying that maybe it's going to be a little bit of Aztec themed. All right, I don't know what these weird eyeball in a timepiece thing is, but I'm sure I'll find out. And a Yithian, so the great race of Yith. Recently done some things for them in Cthulhu Wars. Young Chthonians, Ancient Chthonians. It's cool. Ancient Chthonians have a disaster symbol, so they're bad news, aka fun. All right. Got some cards, lots of cards actually. I mean, this one little mini expansion is going to significantly add to the number of cards that you're going to have in your game. Let's Wave of Destruction, Agency Secrets, Cats Sleeping with Dogs, Twinkies the Size of New York. Oh wait, no, that's the wrong movie game thing. All right. Okay, so we got the unique assets like Duke, the dog. We have these, I don't know what these are. Agencies, unique assets. These are all unique assets. I'm sure they're relevant. Like Light of Reason. Whenever you gain a clue during a research encounter, you may spend one clue to place one clue on this card. Then you may flip this card. Your conclusion illuminates the cyclical rhythm of history, granting you insight into objects and knowledge once thought to be lost to time. Resolve one effect of your choice based off the number of clues on this card. Spawn a clue and gain a clue. Gain one artifact. Advance the active mystery by 2. Then discard this card. This is some kind of hefty stuff going on there. All right. What is this purple stuff? So these are spells. Now, this is a pretty cool concept introduced in Eldritch Horror. You have a spell, and all you know is what the spell does. And what the spell does on the top is always the same. Like in this case, this is, I'm not sure if we can see it, but Beast Within. You may reroll one die when resolving an eyeball, I think that's perception or might test, and then it's got the little I can't remember what they named this icon, but when this icon happens, test, which, I mean, the icon happens just like certain events will trigger it, and everything on the board that has these little icons, something bad will happen. So in this case, you test lore and flip this card. And this particular time, if you got 0 successes, you no longer hear the howl within. If you rolled any ones, discard this card. So that spell's gone. If you got 1 success, a sharp pain shoots through your chest, lose 1 health unless you discard this card. 2+ successes, your blood roars with unnatural vigor. Recover 1 health or discard 1 illness or injury condition. Then flip this card. So That's not too bad. But if you get this spell a different time, it's going to do different things. Occult Exaltation, Spectral Razor. Yeah, it's cool. All right, let's keep going. So what are these things? Terrors. Attune. So these are new conditions. Again, same kind of thing. The conditions are always the same on the top. They always do the same, kind of thing. Like terrors, when you're in the state of terror, it always means that when you perform a rest action, you cannot recover sanity. Roll 1 die on a 4, 5, or 6, discard this card. Okay, but if the trigger effect happens, then you test will, and then if you fail, flip this card. So then something bad happens. So that's how these work, and it allows the game to really feel fresh and different, and also reduces setup time because you can just have these stacks and you just flip through it looking on the tops for whatever it is you need, like if you need the terror icon or whatever. Okay, and a bunch of new random gear, which is great because I don't know, whenever I see Winchester rifle, I can't help but think of Supernatural. I don't know about you guys. Okay, and then some unique items. So Tikkun Elixir, Fetch Sticks, Garn Fragments, Vak Viraj Chant. Gain +5 might during combat encounters and reduce the horror and damage of monsters you encounter by 1 to a minimum of 1. Wow. I mean, that's one heck of a magic book. All right. Yeah, I like that. I mean, this is already exciting. I can't wait to add these little cards into the game and then be surprised when cool things happen. Cool things pop up. All right. And then we have a bunch of new cards. I'm just going to open up both of these decks because a lot of times the decks cross bags, and I really want to, talk about them all at once. But not in this case. In this case, looks like all of the cards are different in each bag. So there we go. Let's go into it. All right. So just, well, if you haven't played Eldritch Horror, then you may not know what these kind of cards are. But basically, when you're doing certain types of events, you just flip over, and each, depending on where you are, will determine which of these 3 things happen. So in this case, if you're in the top, it says, actually, in this case, this is a pass-fail kind of thing. Some entropic power seems to pervade the remains of this city, causing everything to fall apart or break down. You have to keep a careful watch on your equipment to keep it all in working order. Make a perception test. That's what it means when it shows you the little icon. So this is actually a pass-fail. If you pass, it says, you discover one of your belongings requires repair. Using limited tools and your own incomplete knowledge, you attempt to restore the object to working order. Make a lore test. If you fail, the thing is beyond repair, discard 1 item possession. So that's a double check. You have to make perception and then you have to make lore. Otherwise, if you fail your perception, then that's this text down here. And I know there's a lot of glare, so your equipment breaks and one of your friends is injured as a result. Some of your belongings will require days to repair and your companion will need some time to heal. Discard 1 ally and 1 item unless you become delayed. Wow. Delayed means you can't leave, so that's what it is. All right, so these are new. They have similar other cards for like if you're exploring the pyramids or jungles in South America, whatever. So these are new. A totally new type of card, actually. And look, what is this? So wow, these are the destruction. Shanghai flooded. Sydney burned to the ground. Terrifying creatures overwhelm Arkham. Spawn a number of monsters on Arkham equal to half the number of players plus 2. Each investigator adjacent to Arkham moves to Arkham, then each investigator on Arkham becomes delayed. Arkham is devastated. Wow. Yeah, that's some crazy stuff. The world is going to be changed after you play this game. All right. So here is the I can't remember what these cards are called. So I think these are the events, and then these are you solving the event. So like, for example, it says, exploring Garne. You descend a rocky path into a massive rift that spans half the city. Crumbling stones litter the ravine below, remnants of buildings that were once level with the city above. You enter a large tunnel at the base of the ravine in search of whatever caused the city's destruction. Make a perception test -1. And if you pass, you come across what appears to be a nest of gargantuan eggs. As you approach, you find yourself fighting for control of your body. Make a will test -1. If you pass, you flee the cavern with your mind intact. Place 1 Eldritch token on the active mystery. If you fail, you'll awake hours later in the jungle with no memory. Lose 1 sanity. If you failed the first test, your search is cut short, as your reckless stumbling about has drawn unwanted attention to your presence. An ancient Chthonian epic monster ambushes you. Okay, so these are the things that happen when you fight the monster that came with this game, Shud-Miel. And then the mystery, I don't know, investigation clues things. Basically, you see a clue and you explore something. So it'll say, it'll do something different depending on whether it's a city, wilderness, or sea. The destructive cyclone. Sky turns a pale green and the air grows deathly still. Every bird and scurrying creature races to find shelter from the oncoming storm. The lead investigator and other investigators within 2 spaces each lose 2 sanity, move to a random space, and become delayed. It's pretty cool. Like, I like that they specifically mention city, like particular cities, like hurricane strikes Buenos Aires, meteors fall in Istanbul. I like it a lot. It seems cool. I want it to feel like it's our world. These things are happening, and it's crafted to feel like, I don't know, like a 1920s serial kind of drama. Okay. All right. So these, if you're in a city, the city thing happens. If you're in the wilderness happens. See, same kind of stuff. Bunch of new cards. It's gonna really make the game feel like Shud-Miel is attacking, not just some random, some random monster. All right. Different events for certain cities. I'm not sure what these are. So is this when the city is destroyed? When the city's devastated? So like it says Shanghai. Visiting the Langua temple, you are horrified to encounter the spirits of thousands of victims who have been imprisoned and executed on the site. They cry out to you in a ghastly cacophony. Make a will test. You listen to their stories and learn of their death. This is if you succeed. Improve. Oh, okay. So you get a permanent +1 to lore because you learned all this stuff about them. They beg you to find their bodies. Make a perception test. If you pass, the grateful spirits aid you in your cause. Advance the active mystery by 1. If you fail, they inflict their wounds upon you. Lose 2 health. If you failed the first ghastly ghastly cacophony thing. You collapse in a panic, lose one's sanity. You beg the spirits to have mercy. So make a influence test. If you pass, the ghosts see the good within you and relent. Retreat the doom by 1. If you fail, they terrorize you until you snap. Gain 2 madness conditions. Wow. Okay, these are cool. They're a little bit different. And so we got some portal cards. So you go into a portal. Looks like mostly Salino. But City of the Great Race, remember there's Yith introduced into this one, so you can actually fight the Yith. Yugoth. Alright. And what's going on here? So, oh, here's the prequel cards. So, okay, so these are supposed to change the setup of the game. And let's see. Yeah, I'll just read it. You know what you must do. You stand now upon the precipice of oblivion, the tides of chaos flowing about you in violent eddies. Screams of sorrow and anguish rise from each ripple, echoes of the forgotten past remembered anew as the tempest ebbs and flows. A thundering pulse rips through your being, the roar of the tide but a whisper before its majesty. Your breath catches as the claws of fear tighten around your throat. Before you looms a threat, terrible and glorious, but at the same time hollow, like a marionette dancing upon silken strings. Only you can see beyond the veil. Only you can see the puppet's master. Coughing and sputtering, you awaken in some damp, dark alley, sobbing uncontrollably. He is coming. After resolving setup, advance the doom by 3. The lead investigator gains 1 for the greater good unique asset. Each other investigator gains 1 clue for the greater good unique asset. So that was over here. So what for the greater good? So that was the thing that I think I talked about before. At the end of the Mythos phase, you may spend clues equal to the number of players to sacrifice yourself for the good of all mankind. Flip this card. Each night, there's multiple, so you don't know which one's going to happen. Each night, you travel further into the dreamlands, becoming more powerful. You visit the dreams of friends and enemies alike, shaping their destiny while your body slowly wastes away in an opium den. Okay. Each other investigator gains 2 talent conditions and improves each of his skills. Then advance the active mystery by 1. Then you are devoured without advancing doom. Wow. I mean, that is cool. You go into the game with this particular prequel. This is a prequel. Something happened before the game started to lead you to this position. And wow, you end up with this knowledge that as soon as you can, you should sacrifice your character, which means you're going to get a new character so that all the other characters in the game get something cool. I love it. I love how narrative these games are. And yes, Vegas Bats, it is my birthday. Thank you. All right, let's continue. There's a lot of cards. This is a small box with a lot of content, guys. This is really gonna have the ability to change your game. Okay, so this is more Shud-Miel special cards. Bringer of Ruin. Every 23 years, the great worm Shud-Miel returns to the lost city of Garn to communicate with his children, stirring them into a frenzy and inciting them to bring ruin to the civilized cities above. After an investigator resolves a research encounter, he may spend 1 clue he gained from that encounter and place that clue on this card. At the end of the Mythos phase, if there are clues on this card equal to to the investigators solve this mystery. So these are the mysteries, and you have to solve them in order to advance the agenda and ultimately put Shud Miel back, I guess, back to sleep. You can't really ever kill them. It's just a temporary relief. So if you're orange, we've got some new special event cards, depending on which part of the world you're in: green, orange, purple. And then we have a bunch of new, I don't know what these cards are called. Mythos, I think these are just Mythos cards. And so again, this is going to, adding these to your deck, it's already pretty large. It's just gonna add some like unique differences to make the game feel random and different every time you play. You can play this game probably 40, 50 different times, and it's gonna feel different each time. And then that's just the base game. Then when you add this kind of expansion, I mean, this is it. You're only gonna go through like 12 or 13 of these per game, and different ones are gonna interact differently. So this particular card, for example, it's gonna do certain things. It's gonna do certain like different effects, and you do those. And then you read the text. It has been months since you have known a home-cooked meal or the warmth of congenial conversation. Time is of the essence, but you cannot deny the restorative value of a few days spent resting and recovering. Each investigator may become delayed to discard one non-deal condition. So a deal, you make a deal with like the mafia or like a demonic entity. I guess you can't get rid of those by resting, but anything else, maybe you broke an arm, you went insane, whatever. You know, just safe haven, feel safe for a little while. You spend one turn stuck wherever you are and you heal something that you normally couldn't necessarily heal. So pretty cool. So you can see all this stuff in this little tiny box. It is, yeah, and most of this is all so that you can fight Shud Miel. The base Eldritch Horror box is, I think 6 or 7 ancient ones. Some of this is going to go with the main box. Obviously, the heroes, Ashcan Pete, those kind of guys. You can play those with anybody, but about half of this box will only affect your games when you play with Shud Miel as the villain. The other half seems like it's going to be cool. The prequels seem awesome. Yeah. I mean, this is again small, tiny box, but it was packed. There's a little tiny space. Other than that, it was packed solid. As much stuff as they could cram in here. Yeah. So with that was my box opening of the Cities in Ruin expansion for Eldritch Horror. Click like, click subscribe, and talk to you later. Bye guys.